Hey YouTube, today we're going to deploy a NodeJS API out to AWS. To deploy our API, we're going to use Elastic Beanstalk, which is a service designed to streamline the provisioning of resources for code. I'm going to demonstrate how to prepare our code and deploy to Elastic Beanstalk, and we'll end by setting up the service and testing the API using Postman environments. All right, let's get started. Okay, so before we can deploy our code to Elastic Beanstalk, we need to update our npm scripts to make sure npm start will start index.js. You can do that by heading to the package.json file, and let's add a new line here of start, and then we'll create the script to be node index.js, just like so. Let's go ahead and save that. And now we're going to need to zip this entire package up. So we're going to look at the file explorer. I'm going to select all of my files here, right click, send to, create a zipped folder with everything in there. Okay, and let's name this archive NodeJS API, like so. So let's head over to AWS, and let's drop down services, and under compute, click Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, in Elastic Beanstalk, click on Create Application. Let's give our application a name of NodeJS API. Under Platform, select Node.js. Branch and version can remain as the default. Under Application Code, click on Upload Your Code and choose File. And we're going to select the archive that we created earlier, NodeJS API. Then finally, click Create Application. Elastic Beanstalk is going to take a few minutes to spin up your environment, so go get a cup of coffee and come back when it's done. Once Elastic Beanstalk is finished deploying your API, you should receive a screen like this. Now, even though the health is okay because our API is running, there is one minor change we need to make. If we click on the link up here, this should bring us to our API page. However, you can see we have a 502 bad gateway. This is because Elastic Beanstalk by default proxies requests to port 80, which is the standard HTTP port, to 8080, which it expects the backend application to be running. Since the API we built is running on port 3000, we need to tell Elastic Beanstalk to look to 3000 instead of 8080. We can do this by clicking on Configuration in the left-hand side, clicking Edit under Software. Scroll down to the bottom under the Environment Properties. We're going to set port and the name to a value of 3000. This essentially adds environment variables into the API, but also tells Elastic Beanstalk to look at port 3000. So click Apply. Once the configuration changes have saved, it's going to restart your environment. So wait a minute here till this finishes. Okay, so once the application is finished restarting, let's try and click on that link again. You can see in the upper left-hand corner we receive Hello World because our browser actually issues a GET request to that main endpoint. This means that our API is running and accessible from the outside world. So now we're going to explore how we can use Postman to test the different environments that exist for a traditional lifecycle of a web application. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to copy down the URL here. We're going to head over to Postman, and under Environments in the upper right-hand corner, we're going to click the gear just to the right of it, and we're going to create an environment. So in an environment, let's name our environment AWS, and let's add a variable of hostname, and set our initial value to the URL that we have here, and the current value to the same. Let's go ahead and click Add, and we're going to create another environment, so click Add in the lower right-hand corner, and name this environment local. We'll enter a variable of hostname here again, but instead of the value being what we copied from AWS, we're going to set that to http://localhost:3000, like so. And set the current value to the same. Click on Add here. So now we have these two environments. We have our local dev environment and we have our AWS environment. So now if I close this, and we'll go to the getBooks method here. We're going to delete any of the query parameters we have so we can get all the books back. If I drop down and select the AWS environment and then remove everything before books, we can specify a variable using double curly brackets, like so, and host name for the name of the variable. Close it out, and you can see it turned orange there. Now, if I hover over this, you could see our host name variable is set to the AWS URL. But if I drop this down and change it to local, now my host name all of a sudden is localhost 3000. So let's check out the AWS by clicking send. And you can see we got back all of the books we've created throughout the series. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share the video. I'm also live right here on YouTube every Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central. For channel updates or to get in touch with me, follow me on Twitter at BrianMMDev or join my Discord using the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.